Hi there, my name is Jeanne Bonner, and I will be reading poems today by Edith Bruck, an author whose work I am translating from the Italian. I am also translating her short stories thanks to an NEA grant, and I have completed a manuscript called This Darkness Will Never End. But in the interest of brevity, I've decided to read poems instead of a story. A little bit about Edith. She was born in Hungary in 1931. She relocated to Italy in the 1950s and has been writing in Italian ever since. She is inspired by many things, but perhaps chiefly the experience of being deported at the age of 12 by the Nazis and subsequently surviving Auschwitz, as well as several other concentration camps, but losing family members, including her mother and her brother and her father. She writes poetry, nonfiction, and fiction. She is quite prolific. The poems whose translations I'm going to read were published in an anthology of her poetry called Versi Vissuti, which literally means lived verses. Some of the translations were published by Asymptote Journal. Some of my translations. One poem that I translated aired on the American Scholars Daily Poetry podcast, and another was published in Consequence magazine. Okay. At the American Express office. What a beautiful face, said the girl with the gorgeous eyes behind the counter. I smiled at her as happy as a bride in love. I had been longing to hear something like that, to feel better. Sometimes it takes so little, almost nothing, a simple gesture, a glance. Like when in the lager they allowed you a potato, a turnip, a tattered glove. Life is beautiful in those moments, and human beings so very kind. To be born by chance. To be born by chance, to be born a woman, to be born poor, to be born Jewish. It's too much for a single life. Maybe. Of the men who count in life, there's only one, the father who is missing. There were 8 of us. There were 8 of us. 2 died young, 1 they killed. 1 sells pants in Sao Paulo, 1 skirts in Buenos Aires, 1 bred in Brooklyn, 1 battles the mentally ill in an Israeli hospital. 1, they say, she does nothing. She writes. You were right. Being alone is nice. Master of your own bed, of your increasingly precious time. It's intoxicating. Doing everything you want. It's fantastic. It would appear to be freedom if we were free. Being alone is a vice, a perverse act, with a bitter taste, a pleasure for the old who know too much. The symbol. She died of helplessness, might be what's written on my gravestone. Wherever that may be, there's no guarantee a person dies where she was born or where she lives. It could be any place at that uncertain hour. There are no good countries or bad countries, but as a symbol, I'd like a small star, 6-pointed, like the one that shone on my threadbare coat as a child. Carve it into the stone real good, like they carved into my skin, into my flesh, into my innards. And if there's another life, I will be a yellow star, to remind you, once upon a time, there was Auschwitz. Like all children. I played in the snow, my 2 blonde braids plaited by my mother, a pair of busted-up boots. I was happy, like all children. And yet they said I was different, born different, with the stamp of the chosen, awaiting the Messiah. Okay. Pretty soon. Pretty soon, when people hear a quiz show master talk about Auschwitz, they'll wonder if they would have guessed that name. They'll comment on the current champion who never gets dates wrong and always pinpoints the number of dead. Yawning sleepily, they'll say maybe they would have preferred Greek and Roman history over these Jews. They have always made people talk about them. They really bring on their own persecution. Thank you so much. I really enjoyed reading Edith's poems. Again, Edith Bruck, who is an amazing transnational Italian writer. Thank you so much.